Good day, dear colleagues and all guests. Today meeting of the exhibition council established for award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, in the educational program 6G021300 AD02303 Linguistic 6D02 1000 AD02306 Foreign Philology AD0170 Foreign Languages to a Foreign Language 6D020600 AD02306 Translation Studies at Al-Farabi Kazakh National University, Almaty, 24 February 2026. Dear members of the Dissertation Council, dear participants, let me announce the members of the Dissertation Council present at this meeting. The Dissertation Council consists of 9 members. All 9 members are present at the meeting. Рошангуль Авакова, Chair, Doctor of Philological Science Professor, Albina Dusanova, Deputy Chair, PhD, Associate Professor, Kamar Aldasheva, Academic Secretary, PhD, Associate Professor, Anar Fazljan, Candidate of Philological Science, Associate Professor, Director of Ahmet Baytarsunov Institute of Linguistics. Holders of qualifications in the specialty 6D 02 1000 Foreign Philology are present. 2 temporary members of the Dissertation Council are attending at the defense of Искакова Г.Н. who has submitted her dissertation for the degree Doctor of Philosophy PhD in the specialty 6D02 1000 Foreign Philology of the topic prosodic portrait of academic discourse. The temporary members of the Dissertation Council are Metin Ikici, Professor, PhD Professor, Ege University, Izmir, Turkey, Bazarbayeva Zeynep Muslimovna, Doctor of Philological Science, Professor, Academician, Ahmet Baytarsunov Institute of Linguistics, Almaty, Kazakhstan. Islam Aybarsha, Doctor of Philological Science, Professor, Kazakh Ablayxan University of International Relations and World Languages, Almaty, Kazakhstan. They declare the meeting of the Dissertation Council open. According to the attendance sheet, all members of the Dissertation Council are present today's meeting. There is a sufficient quorum to open the meeting. Are there any objections?
No.
No. On today's agenda is the public defense of the dissertation submitted by Искакова Г.Н. for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, in the specialty 6D02 1000 Foreign Philology as a topic, a prosodic portrait of academic discourse. The dissertation was completed at the Department of Foreign Philology and Translation Study of Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. Domestic Scientific Advisor Karagoshiva Daniel Almasbekovna, a candidate of philological science, PhD, Associate Professor, Al-Farabi Kazakh National University, Almaty, Kazakhstan. Foreign Scientific Advisor, Dorlegi Margaret, PhD, Associate Professor, University of Amsterdam, Netherlands. Official reviews, Jalala Akshay, PhD, Acting Associate Professor, Timurбек Jurgenov, Kazakh National Academy of Arts, Almaty, Kazakhstan. Kasim Bolat, PhD, Bolashak Academy, Karaganda, Kazakhstan. The dissertation in being submitted for defense for the first time. All required documents related to the dissertation have been published on the official website of the Dissertation Council. All members of the Dissertation Council have the relevant materials of the dissertation at their disposal. The defense is being conducted in the live online broadcast format via the internet. When the Dissertation Council holds a meeting in the form of the video conference, and the following procedure are ensured. Visual identification of all the participants, and inter-entered video and audio transmission of participants' speeches via the internet. Video and audio recording of the meeting, confidential, secret, voting by members of the Dissertation Council, participation of the official reviewers and the temporary members of the Dissertation Council of the defense is mandatory. Are the recommendations regarding the agenda? No. If there is no any, I will pass the approval of the agenda to the vote. Who is against? No objections. Who abstained? No abstentions. Who is for? All. The agenda is approved by consensus. Now I give the floor as Academic Secretary of the Dissertation Council, PhD, Associate Professor Kamal Aldasheva, to present the candidates' biographical information and the documents from the personal files.
Dear members of Dissertation Council, the documents of the candidate Искакова Г.Н. registered with the Dissertation Council are as follows. The first candidate's application for admission to the dissertation defense was approved by the Dissertation Council on 14 January 2026 and recorded in the registration journal. The next dissertation bound and on an electronic medium. Next, information about the doctoral student. Искакова Гульназ Батульдаевна, nationality Kazakh, born on April 6, 1984 in Kazalis, Zlata region. She entered Ulaty Taras State University and in 2012 graduated with the honors from Taras State Pedagogical Institute in Foreign Language to Foreign Languages. She completed her master's degree in 11 foreign languages at Ablahan Kazakh University of International Relations and World Languages, and was awarded the academic degree of Master of Education, Foreign Languages. And she completed the professional curriculum of doctoral studies in the program 60-02-1000 Foreign Philology at Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. In 2017, she completed a research internship at the University of Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Her total work experience amounts to 20 years. She currently works as a senior lecturer and the deputy head of the department and the faculty of philology of Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. A copy of the transcript of the professional curriculum approved by the educational institution, next document, and the reviews of the of local and the foreign scientific advisors, a copy of the visit sheet and the minutes from the extended meeting of the Department of Foreign Philology and the Translation Studies of KAZNO, whereas the proposal was a defense and a positive conclusion were approved by the Vice Rector for Science and Innovation of Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. Next document, reviews of the official reviews and a certificate from the National Center for Scientific and Technical Information, and a certificate of submission of the dissertation and its annotation to the Library of KAZNO. And a copy of the minutes of the meeting of the Academic Council of KAZNO on the approval of the dissertation topic and the scientific advisors. The next document, list of scientific publications signed by the Scientific Secretary of Faculty of Philology of the Kazakh National University and their copies. A total of 16 scientific papers has been published based on the materials of dissertation, including on one Scopus indexed journal article, Q3, 6 articles in journal recommended by the Committee for Quality Assurance in the Science and Higher Education of the Republic of Kazakhstan, and 9 conference proceedings in international and the Republic scientific collections. The documents submitted by a candidate Искакова Г.Н. Fully meet the requirements of the rules for the awarding degrees of the Committee for Quality Assurance in the field of Science and Higher Education of Ministry of Science and Higher Education of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Thank you.
Dear Council members, do you have any questions? Secretary regarding the candidates of personal file?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you. The floor is given to the doctor candidate Искакова Г.Н. to present content of the research. The time limit is 15 to 20 minutes.
So, as a language of this representation of the dissertation work is in English, so I'm going to continue in English. First of all, I'd like to greet you, good afternoon, respected members of the dissertation commission, esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests. So we'd like, first of all, to start our presentation by expressing our sincere gratitude for your opportunity to present our research work entitled The Saudi Portrait of Academic Discourse that was submitted for defense. This very work has been carried out under the scientific supervision of the candidate of philological sciences, PhD, Karagushiba Danila Mosbekovna, and foreign supervisor, is also PhD Associate Professor of the University of Amsterdam, the Netherlands, Margrethe Berlijn. Okay, the next slide presents. Next slide presents the previous one. Thank you very much. The dissertation consists of 3 main chapters that cover the study of academic discourse, the main genre of lecture, and prosody in academic discourse, its features. And the last chapter consists of the empirical part of our research that combines Kazakh and English medium lectures analysis. In the next slide, we would like to present our purpose. In his public address, the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan emphasizes the strategic importance of strengthening the national academic environment, advancing scientific research, and enhancing the quality of higher education. Particular attention is given to the development of the intellectual competitive academic space capable of integrating into the international scientific community. In this context, the effectiveness of academic communication becomes a crucial factor in achieving these objectives. Since the lecture remains a primary crucial factor through which knowledge is transmitted and structured within universities, the study of academic discourse is significantly theoretically and socially important. This is the main reason for identification of the purpose of the research as investigation of prosodic features characteristic of as means of structuring and maintaining coherence in academic discourse. So in order just to achieve this very purpose, we have made a kind of research, and the result of which we would like to submit these 5 main statements. The first one is related to the academic discourse, which is viewed as an institutional form of communication that combines both educational and the scientific forms. It operates within higher education and is characterized by structured thematic organization and the periodic regulation. The second one is related to the lecture, the key genre of this very academic discourse, which is effective only when the content organization and the prosodic structuring function together. Coherence building devices such as repetition, correction, paraphrasing, parenthetical insertions, and questions play a crucial role in organizing. The third one is about the prosodic portrait of the lecture, which is formed through coordinated use of pitch, pause, intensity, and the duration. These, the mentioned coherence building devices are associated with specific patterns of prosodic features. The fourth one is the English medium lectures. Prosodic interference from the lecture's first language affects intonation patterns, prominence distribution, and the question realizations. The last one is about the prosody, that is not merely a delivery feature or accessory, but the integral structural component of lecture design. So in order just to substantiate the next slide, these theoretical prepositions, let us now turn to the empirical foundation of the study. The empirical material of the study consists of authentic Kazakh and English medium university lectures representing different academic disciplines. In total, more than 35,000 of seconds of material, and that were transcribed in more than 50,000 words. And this corpus ensures sufficient material for systematic discourse and acoustic analysis. So in the next slide, in order just to examine how the coherence is structured and constructed in lecture discourse, the study focuses on coherence building devices. The next slide. So the classification of coherence building devices is based on the framework of the work of Spanish researchers named Desiderado and Ahmed Hassim, but they have identified 4 types of coherence building devices that combine repetition, correction, parenthetical insertions, and paraphrasing. However, in the process of our observation, we have identified that questions plays no less significant role in coherence building process. So that's why we have added questions as a 4th type of coherence building devices. So having defined these very devices, we can now turn to the distribution in the Kazakh corpus, how it is distributed. As we see questions, this is taken from Kazakh corpora. Questions, particularly double questions, occur most frequently, 429 occurrences, and that is followed by repetition, 270 occurrences. So the remaining devices, unfortunately, appear less often. This suggests that Kazakh lectures rely mainly on interrogative structuring and the repetition to organize coherence. So in order just to examine how these the coherence building devices work prosodically in the speech, we are going to give the examples. The first example is taken from Kazakh corpus. It is preceded in the picture you can clearly see by a clear boundary and marked by a rise fall contour with prominence on the interrogative element and the final fall. So in this very picture, you can see two types of questions that are bounded from each other with the pause, and the contour is going down, is falling. And this indicates that the question serves as a structural function, organizing discourse and guiding attention rather than initiating dialogue. So let's have let's try to with this very speech.
оныншы слайд қаларыңызшы. Сосын басыңыз.
Дыбысты басыңызшы.
Колонкада бас.
Аха, колонкада бар.
Дауысын шығарсаңыз ба соны?
Дауыстарыңызды естіспейді.
So Qamar, if you put it into automatic function, it will play automatically.
Бұл сөйлеу бұл керісінше тілді қолданудың нәтижесі деп жазып керек.
So the next slide presents example of WH question from the lecture corpus in English medium corpus. So as we can observe, the contour shows mid to low final fall with prominence aligned to the focal element of question. The falling terminal movement signals completion rather than invitation of immediate response. And in case of WH question, operates as a coherence building device, structuring discourse and guiding the audience interpretive focus rather than initiating dialogue.
Marketing involves all activities between moving of product or between producer and consumer. Okay, sorry.
So actually, that was the example of the correction. Unfortunately, I haven't come to this very present slide yet. So in the next slide, the previous one. In the previous. So and the next one.
Why is this study of management currently so popular among our citizens?
So thank you very much. The next slide presents the units found in English corpus. Having examined the distribution in Kazakh medium lectures, we can now turn to English one. As the slide demonstrates, corrections represents the most frequent device with 106 occurrences that is followed by the repetition and the paraphrasing. The paraphrasing is occurred more frequently in comparison to the repetition with 86 instances. So overall, according to this very data, we can clearly see that in English medium lectures, the lecturers rely mostly on corrective and the paraphrastic strategy. So it means that they mostly try to reflect real-time management of accuracy and the comprehensibility in non-native instructional context. So in order just to see how this correction works in the speech, we have taken two more examples. The previous one. So correction in the Kazakh medium lectures. The most frequently observed coherence building device is correction, and this example illustrates a correction marked by a clear prominent shift to the revised segment. So we have identified that while the lecturer self-corrects himself or herself, the corrected the second element, the second instance carries a noticeable pitch peak and a slight temporal expansion. So additionally, the correction is bracketed by micropauses, which creates structural segmentation and highlights the repair. So the next slide, in the next slide, we can see the example that demonstrates the prosodic realization of correction in English lecture. So the revised segment here also carries a heightened prominence marked by the increased pitch peak and a stronger intensity. Unlike the Kazakh examples, the prominence is more pronounced and the pause before the correction is slightly extended. So it means that in English medium lectures, Kazakhstani lecturers try to make more pauses. The next slide. So having analyzed all this very material collected during our research, we tried to draw the prosodic portrait of both lectures. So the first prosodic portrait of Kazakh lectures reveals systematic alignment between discourse function and the suprasegmental marking. Corrections receive the strongest prominence. Parentheticals form distinct islands from each other, and double questions show elevated pitch and extended duration. So in the English prosodic portrait of the lectures, in contrast to Kazakh medium prosodic portrait, here the prominence is more intensified and the pauses are significantly longer in comparison to Kazakh one. So similarly, repetition, repair, it means the self-corrections and paraphrasing maintain consistently high intensity and reinforce clarification strategies. Overall, these findings suggest that EMI lectures rely on prosodic strengthening and pause expansion to ensure clarity, accuracy, and discourse control. So the next slide, the conclusion, the research demonstrates that prosody is not an accessory to lecture delivery, but a structural mechanism through which academic meaning is organized, clarified, and controlled. By constructing a comparative prosodic portrait of Kazakh and the English medium lectures, the study reveals systematic patterns and the interference effects that shape coherence in multilingual academic setting. The next slide. So this is how the ideal prosodic portrait should look like when all these very mentioned prosodic features are used in unison. So next one. So the next slide, after conclusion, I have already presented conclusion. So for the next slide, in the next slide, we would like to present the main key basic list of the literature that serves as key theoretical and methodological basis for our research. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thanks for the help. The presentation has been concluded. Dear members of the dissertation council, please feel free to ask questions to the candidate.
Қазақша қояйын ба? Сіз екі туыстас емес, әртүрлі жүйелерге қатысты тілдердің просодикалық ерекшеліктерін зерттеп отырсыз. Сонда сұрақ туады. Осы академиялық дискурстың просодикалық ерекшеліктерін алғанда, олардың ұқсастығы қандай және айырмашылықтары қандай? Себебі мен мысалы қазақ тілінің просодикалық жүйесін француз тілімен салыстырдым және орыс тілімен салыстырдым. Сонда орыс тілінен гөрі қазақ тілінің просодикалық жүйесі француз тіліне ұқсас. Себебі оларда екпін, мысалы екпіннің табиғаты өте бір-біріне ұқсас. Ол мысалы сөздің ең соңғы буына түседі. Сонда жалпы алғанда, осы дискурс алғанда, үш параметрді алып отырсыз. Динамический, тональный и темпоральный. Қандай өзгешеліктері бар осы екі тілді салыстырғанда? Бірінші сұрақ, екінші сұрақ қоя берейін. Сіз жұмысыңызда дайындалған дискурс алып отырсыз ба, жоқ дайындалмаған ба? Это спонтанная речь или подготовленная речь? Потому что кейбір лекторлар, олар конспект арқылы оқып отырады. А кейбірлері, оларда тек жоспар болады да, олар өзі айтып отырады. Сонда олардың просодикалық ерекшеліктері салыстырсақ, өте бір-біріне ұқсамайды. Соны білейін деген, қандай сіз взяли спонтанную речь, спонтанная лекция или же подготовленная лекция взяли? А если и то, и другое, в чем разница именно в просодических элементах? Потом, үшінші сұрақ. Жұмысыңызда кестелер бар, цифралар бар, графиктер бар. Лингвисттің негізгі мақсаты цифрларды сөйлету. Мысалы, мына жерде тон, бассейн, мына жерде мысалы көтеріңкі. Соны семантикамен байланыстырып, мазмұнмен байланыстырып, неге солай болады? Және темпоральды параметрді алсақ, мына жерде қарқын жай болады, мына жерде тез болады. Ол мазмұнмен байланыстырғанда, ол нені көрсетеді? Интенсивтікте солай. Кейде ол қатты естіледі, қазір жай естіледі. Сонда оның мазмұны семантикасымен салыстырып, осыны интерпретация данных, осыны түсіндіріп кетсеңіз.
You have examined the structure, episodic structures of academic discourse in two different languages. My question is, what is common and what is different in the academic discourse of these two languages? Because I have previously compared the prosodic features of French, Russian, and Kazakh, and I found out in my studies that the prosodic features of Kazakh and French.
Нет, просто
Kazakh and
я просто
French
удивляюсь, как будто мы за границей.
are similar.
Я тоже удивляюсь.
Это дает ей время постоянно давать.
Is on the last
Другое дело, когда она не знает языка. Да, если язык знает, зачем
the
переводить?
differences, similarities, and what is common in the prosodic features of these two languages.
So related to the first question about two different the languages that are not related to each other. Because actually the prosody is language specific. It means that any kind of language has its specific features in prosodic aspect. So related to English one, let's here we should identify highlight one more moment that English language is used by non-native speakers. So they are not the native speakers of the English language, but nevertheless there are some kind of interference factors. Nevertheless, related to coherence building devices, there was some similarities. Similarities are observed in correction part, in repetitions and the paraphrasing. But the differences might be observed in questions, especially WH yes/no questions, where the English medium lecturers tried to use the falling tone instead of the rising tone. So such kind of differences observed. What about the temporal aspect? Of course, the language, Kazakh language is Turkic language, yeah, and so that is why even the numbers of the words that the lecturer can pronounce in 1 minute might also differ. That is the main difference. It can show the differences in temporal aspect. That's the answer for the specific question.
Біріншіден айта кететінім, әр тілдің әрине просодикалық ерекшеліктері әртүрлі, олар айрықша болуы мүмкін. Бұл біздің зерттеуімізде айта кететін жайт, ағылшын тілі туған тілі емес болып табылатын лекторлардың сөздері қарастырылды. Ағылшын тілінде, қазақ тіліндегі тон, ағылшын тіліндегі айтылған лекциялардың тонның өзгеруінде жаңағы екпіннің жоғары түсуі, төмен түсуі деген сияқты жерлерде айырмашылықтары болды. Сонымен қатар, мысалы қазақ тіліндегі лекцияларды қарастыратын болсақ, ол жерде жаңағы қазақ тілінің түркі тілдес түркі тіліне жататындықтан, ол жердегі жаңа 1 минутта айтылған сөздердің саны да көп болуына байланысты әртүрліліктер байқалды.
The second question?
The second question was the speeches that you have analyzed during your investigation prepared or spontaneous? Because we know that some lecturers give their lectures with prepared conspects.
So actually for as a purpose for this very research work, we have chosen both of them, spontaneous and before prepared. So we have highlighted in our research work, in our dissertation, that the lectures for massive online courses were also taken into account. And we do know that these very lectures are prepared beforehand by the lecturers. What about the spontaneous one? The part of the lectures, 50% of the lectures were recorded in the real classroom settings. So that is why the main difference is that in prepared speech, the mentioned coherence building devices were met rarely in comparison to the spontaneous one. So that's why we mostly pay attention to the coherence building devices that were taken from spontaneous lectures.
Бұл жерде жұмыс барысында біз екі дайындалғанда және де жаңағы лекторлардың сол кезде оқып жатқан лекциясын жазып алу арқылы корпусқа екі варианттағы да лекцияларды енгіздік. Ол және біріншіден жаңа мок дейміз, ашық курстар, сол жерде дайындалған жаңағы публикаға арналған лекцияларды қарастырдық. Сонымен қатар аудиторияда оқылған, жаңа корпусымыздың 50% аудиторияларда оқылған лекцияларды жазып алдық. Өйткені жаңағы бұл когеренттілікті көру үшін, просодиясын көру үшін бізге сол жаңағы спонтанный сөздерде қолданылатын спонтанно сөйленетін лекциялар, айтылатын лекциялар керек болды. Сол жерде олар жақсырақ көрінеді.
Екі түрде сонда. Екі спонтан және дайындалған. Айырмашылықтар.
The third question is, so in your work, in your dissertation, you have tables and diagrams. I believe that the first aim of the linguist is to make those numbers and diagrams speak. So my question is, have you considered the semantic meaning of those numbers? So have you considered the intensity of speech? Have you considered the temporal peculiarities of those speeches? Have you correlated semantics, meaning, and those numbers?
Üçün сұраққа жауап беріңіз.
So, as I have mentioned before, in prepared speech, the coherence building devices, especially the prosodic features, are more preserved. But in spontaneous, they used mostly the corrective part, iterative aspects, approaches, more in comparison to the prepared one. As for the prosodic, the duration, the pauses that were made by in spontaneous lectures are more in comparison to the prepared one. And the intensity is also more prominent in spontaneous lectures.
Жаңағы когеренттілікті средства формирования когерентности, они больше присущи спонтанным речам, но
наверное, исключение. Да. Қазақша сұрақтарға қазақша айта берейік.
Ағылшынша жауап берсеңіз, қазақша.
Жауап бермейді,
өзіңіз алдыңыз.
Негізі дайындалған және спонтанды екі түрлі типтегі лекцияларда, дәрістерде спонтанды түрінде просодиялық ерекшеліктер анық көрінеді. Талғауларда қолданылатын паузалардың ұзақтығы, паузалардың көлемі, және сонымен қатар жаңағы мысалға түзету немесе перефразалар жасау, сөздерді қайталау жиірек кездеседі. Және олардың екпіні, жаңа қарқындылық, қарқындылық анық көрінеді. Өйткені дайындалған лекцияларда, әсіресе жаңа мок лекцияларында, олар алдын ала дайындалғаннан кейін, олардың барлығы бір типті, бір санды, ерекше жаңағы екпінді көтеру, немесе паузаларды артық қолдану, ондай кездеспеді.
Эмоция жоқ.
As for the third, so for the third question is related to the tables, figures, and its relation to semantic aspect. So we try to conduct a discourse analysis where the interpretation of the material is given. So the main purpose of this very interpretation is to show how these prosodic features can present the intention of the speaker. In our case, it's lecturer, because without the intention, it's impossible even to speak about the discourse. So that is why the data that we have taken, different kind of measures of pitch, pauses, etc., they are used in order to measure them. Of course, we have given, we have interpreted, we have tried to pay more attention to the peculiarities and the differences in both languages. But actually, the initial purpose of this very dissertation was based on the English medium lectures. However, in order just to see if the interference aspects are located here or not, we tried also to take Kazakh language that is novel, that was fully investigated before. Кестелер мен цифрларда қолдандық диссертация барысында олардың мазмұнымен әрине тікелей байланысты. Өйткені біз әрбір айтылған сөздерді олардың қарқындылығын, паудасын, қанша сөз санын, қаншалықты ұзақтығын барлығын өлшеу, бұл лекция дәріс оқып отқан дәрістердің ниетіне, яғни интенциясын анықтауында. Өйткені онсыз дискурс орын алуы мүмкін емес еді. Сондықтан да алынған барлық цифрлық немесе кестелердегі деректер жасау үшін қолданылды. Бірақ өкінішке орай біздің диссертациямыздың ең бірінші мақсаты ол ағылшын тіліндегі қазақстандық лекциялардың дәрістерін оқу мақсатты, зерттеу мақсатында болды. Алайда арасында лекторлардың әсіресе қазақ тіліндегі өздерінің просодиялық ерекшеліктері арасында орын алатын болғандықтан, қазақ тіліндегі просодия лекцияларын просодия зерттелмегендіктен біз қазақ тілінде қоса алып зерттедік. Негізінен екеуін салыстырып отырмыз, бірінен бірінден шыққанын анықтау мақсатында жасалған жұмыс болатын.
Excuse me. May I ask questions also?
Please ask to.
Yeah, thank you very much. Құрметті Қорғау төрағасы, құрметті Қорғау мүшелері, бәріңізге Түркиядан, İzmir'den көп салам айтамын біріншіде. Бәріңізге Ramazan ayı kutlu болсын деп жақсы тілектерімі білдірейін. Солдан кейін де ақтышынша сұрақтарымды сұрайын. Болды mu?
Teşekkür ederim.
I have two questions, if you allow me. My first question is, in what ways does prosodic structuring contribute to students' professional socialization? The second question is, how can the findings of this dissertation improve the quality of university lectures? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes. So the questions are clear. The first question was related about the ways of prosodic organization affect students' comprehensibility. Yeah? Did I understand it correctly? So actually, the purpose of this very dissertation was not related to the study of the pragmatic aspect, but nevertheless, in the observation while the lecturer is delivering the lectures, we have identified that the use of these very prosodic features, the use of coherence building devices can affect and can clearly show if the students comprehend the material well or not. So, but the pragmatic aspect, unfortunately, was not the main purpose of this very dissertation. As for the second question about the findings, how it might improve, lecture training process. So in our dissertation, we have given several recommendations how the prosodic features like pitch, pauses, intensity can be applied in lecture delivery process. But this might be the first attempt for further study in pedagogical and the methods of teaching foreign languages, especially because mostly we try to pay attention to English medium lectures because the most discrepancies were identified there.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask questions?
Professor Islam Aybarsha, please.
I have 3 questions. The first question is, could you justify, please, in your statement, you have articulated that a lecture is a center-forming genre in academic discourse. Could you try to justify in detail? The second question is, you have also named 5 structural, coherent devices, if I'm not mistaken, but some researchers, they extend it. They have shown 6 or even 7 some stages, devices, I mean. But you are focusing on 5 ones. Could you try to justify once again? And the last one is, what do you think, whether can we apply your findings of your research to other languages? I mean, not only in the form of its structure of a language, I mean, but taking into account also communicative modeling of that language. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Persona, for your questions. The first question was related to lecture as a central genre of academic discourse and why have we taken lecture. So actually, while observing different kind of research works that were conducted before us, like Spanish, for example, researchers Fortanet and in Russian space, they have clarified that lecture is the main genre, and in their classification they have put lecture on the top. It's the first one. The second, the lecture is the most important, significant way of transmitting and structuring knowledge, because without lecturing the students, it would be very difficult to acquire knowledge independently. So that's why, and the model form of academic speech should be considered the lectures one. So we have taken the lecture as a key genre of academic discourse for this very reason. The second question was related to coherent building devices. Why only 5? Yeah, but not the other types. Actually, we based our research work on the classification of the researchers Desiderata and Qasim Rahman, because they have clarified 4 main coherence building devices that are more often used and faced in lectures. There are more coherence building devices, of course, but the most observed ones were these very 5 types. So about the findings, as I have already mentioned, prosodic features of the language are language specific, but the coherence building devices, the whole structure of lecturing, the methodological approach might be unique for all languages, but specific features,
universal,
like the use of pauses, pitches, yes, durations, for example, even the number of the words that the lecturer can pronounce in 1 minute might be different. So that is why we think that it's more language specific.
It's applicable to other languages.
Yeah, actually to Turkic languages, it might be applicable, but about the European ones, there is a high difference. Even the empirical part of our research can justify it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. May members ask your questions?
I have one question. First in қазақ және ағылшын дәрістеріндегі просодикалық айырмашылықтарды анықтауда қай параметрлер когеренттілікті қамтамасыз етуде шешуші рөл атқарады. Which prosodic parameter plays a decisive role in ensuring coherence in Kazakh and English medium lecture?
One question.
Yeah, one question.
For your question, actually, we have taken four parameters: pitch, duration, intensity, and pauses. So these very four parameters haven't been chosen for no reason. They are all of them are significant in constructing coherence in speech. But nevertheless, in our research work, we mostly try to focus on the use of pitch aspect to measure the pitch, how the speech of lecturer in the lecture delivery process worked. But of course, the contours, pauses, they also play some extra linguistic roles for constructing the speech.
Thank you.
Dear member, ask your questions.
Гүлназ Набилбаевна, сізге бірінші сұрақ. Сізде объект ретінде сіз ана тілі емес, ағылшын тілі ана тілі емес дәріскерлерді алып отырсыз, иә? Бірақ сіздің қорытындыларыңыз ағылшын тіліндегі жалпы академиялық дискурстың просодикалық ерекшелігі, табиғаты туралы қорытынды жасауға ол қаншалықты шынайы сізге дәлел бола алады? Түсіндіре алдым ба?
Иә, мен түсіндім.
Аутентті материалдар деп алып тұрсыз ғой. Сондықтан қаншалықты аутенттілікке қамтамасыз ете алады? Сосын екінші, зерттеу дерек көздері әртүрлі пәндерден алынған. Бұл жалпы академиялық дискурстың просодикалық келбетіне әсер ете ме? Айырмашылықтар бар ма? Мына жерде лингвистикада, басқа экономика деп көрсетіпсіз әртүрлі бағыттарды. Осы бағыттар академиялық дискурстың просодикалық ерекшеліктерін анықтай ма, жалпы көрсете ме, әсер ете ме?
So the objective of your dissertation is the analysis of non-native English speakers, academic discourse of non-native English speakers. But your conclusions are based on the English medium lectures. To what extent do you think the authenticity of your conclusions can be provided in this note?
So thank you very much. So the first question is related to the object of this very dissertation work, that about English medium and the Kazakh medium lectures, and how much here it is objective. First of all, I'd like to clarify once more again that we tried to take not the native speakers, but non-native speakers speech lectures. And in our dissertation, we also made lots of references to the research works conducted before me, especially whose material was native speakers English lectures. So we tried to use the data from their work and try to get the interference phenomena that were observed in English medium lectures by Kazakhstani lecturers. So why we have written it in the authentic one? Because all these very lectures were recorded in real classroom settings, and they are from real lectures, and that is the way how these very lectures are delivered in Kazakhstan. The second question was about
and the second question is, so you have chosen lectures in different fields, so economics, linguistics, and so on. To what extent do you think the prosodic portrait of academic discourse is influenced by the field of the lecture?
Actually, you have observed correctly. There were different subjects that were taken the purpose from. So the main purpose of choosing different aspects, because, for example, if we focus on philologies, it might not be so objective, and so we wouldn't be able to generalize to all lecture types. So that is why we have taken from different aspects. Moreover, we should also take into account the fact that the individual style of lectures also might influence. But when we collect all these very different disciplines, and when we measure the semitones in pitch with prep software, we could identify that this is not the specific, the individual style of the lecturer, but that might be faced or traced in all lectures that were delivered in English.
Почему вы не взяли английских лекторов, а не взяли казахстанских лекторов по английскому языку? Тогда не было бы интерференции. Потому что как хорошо бы он не знал язык, все равно акцент чувствуется. Кроме, конечно, Айбашев не чувствуется акцент, она как англичанка говорит. А у остальных всегда чувствуется акцент, интерференция присутствует. Вот, и почему вы не взяли английского лектора? Тоже легко же взять.
My next question would be, why haven't you studied the native English-speaking lectures? Because I believe that when a person is non-native speaker, there is a interference in the accent of the speaker. So there wouldn't be any interference in this case.
Okay. Thank you very much. So actually, we have chosen English medium lectures by non-native lecturers. First of all, we'd like to study the topics that might be significant and valuable for Kazakhstani academic space. And when we see the problem in English medium lectures by non-native speakers, so we could clearly see where the lecture should be improved, in what prosodic aspect it should be taken, which we can pay more attention to. And about the native speakers of English, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, the previous different researchers before me have already investigated this very topic. So that is why we have just referred to their work and results, findings. Негізі қазақ тілді Қазақстандағы ағылшын тілі ана тілі болып табылмайтын дәріскерлердің некізісін неге алуымыз деп отырсыз ғой. Өйткені біріншіден біздің мақсатымыз қазақстандық академиялық кеңістікке пайдасы тиетін тақырыпты қозғауды жөн көрдік. Екіншіден, егер де біз қай жерде просодикалық қателіктер жіберіледі, қай жерін жақсарту керек, дамыту керек деген мақсатпен біз осы материалды зерттеуді дұрыс деп санадық. Ал ағылшын тілі ана тілі болып саналатын дәріскерлердің дәрістері вақытымызға или өкінішімізге қарай маған дейін көптеген зерттеушілер жұмыс жасаған, және солардың келген қорытындыларына жинақтаған материалдарын біз негізге ала отырып, біз соны анықтап интерпретациялау.
Alvina, I have a question.
No, I already had the answer.
No?
Thank you.
Мен ойын да бір сұрағым. Мақалада қалыс бізде сұрақтар келген ойында. Бірінші әрине, сіздің жұмысыңыздың перспективасы, яғни кейін қалай жүресіз, мысалы қазір жасанды интеллект, тағы да басқа да жаңа технологиялар пайдаланып жатқан кезде сіздің осы жұмысыңызды келешекте жалғасы қалай болмақ? Бірінші сұрақ. Екінші, жалпы жаңа Зейнеп апаймен осындағы адамдардың біздің әріптестердің сұрақтарымен байланысты, және қазақ және ағылшын тілдерін зерттегенсіз. екеуі де типологиялық жағынан әртүрлі, бірақ енді корпус жағынан да әртүрлі. Қаншалықты осы әртүрлі корпустар, тең емес корпустар сіздің зерттеуіңізге оң әсерін бере алды ма? Иә, түсіндіңіз ба? Сосын жаңа сіздің диссертациялық зерттеуіңіздің жаңалығында айтасыз, қазақ тіліндегі академиялық дискурстың просодиясы алғаш рет кешенді зерттелді дейді. Осы қаншалықты ақиқат? Сізге дейін ешкім зерттеген жоқ. Рахмет.
My first question is, what are the perspectives of your study? What do you see in the future? The second question would be, as the colleagues have already mentioned, Kazakh and English are, their corporate is different, their typology is different. So how do you think, to what extent do you think your work has profited from it? And the third question is, so in your thesis, you mentioned that the technical portrait of academic discourse was studied for the first time. To what extent do you think this statement is or justified?
Thank you very much for your questions. First of all, about perspectives. Actually, while observing and studying this very topic, there were different angles, perspectives were identified. The first of one, it would be better to study the pragmatic aspect, how the students comprehend the material. It's also a very interesting topic. Moreover, it would be, we do have interest in compiling different sub-corpora. For example, spoken academic corpus of Kazakh language or as English medium corpora. And with AI, such kind of corpora might be very useful and profitable for compiling speech synthesis with artificial intelligence. For example, you didn't know, yes, different kinds of applications, they use human voice. And of course, there are some kind of mispronunciations, misuse of intonation, and in order just to avoid to complete these very gaps, such corpora might be very useful. The second question is about typological difference. Yeah, that we have used different corpora, different fields. Actually, the more different, the more multi-angled material corpus is, the more interesting data and the facts we can get. So that is why we try to use the corpus of MOOC and the classroom, real-time classroom settings lectures also. And even it helped us to identify the peculiarities of each of these types of the lectures. As for the last question, that in our conclusion, in the dissertation, it's given that lectures of the speech of the academic speech of the lecturers in English and the Kazakh were for the first time studied. We paid attention, we added to this very novelty that they are studied for the first time from coherence building devices aspect. And not that they're general, of course, there are lots of researchers who study prosodic features, but especially paying attention, taking into account the coherence building devices was the first attempt in our work.
Қазақша беріңіз. Докторанттар отырсын, иә, докторанттар. Өзіңіз айтыңыз.
Әрине, зерттеу жұмысын жасау орындау барысында қызық тақырып қой, тақырыпқа кірген кезде әртүрлі жаңадан ашылатын сәттерді анықтадық, олар перспективаларымызда болашақ. Мысалға, прагматикалық жаңағы сұрақ болды, прагматикасын қарадыңыз ба деген. Сол прагматикалық жағын қарау, я студенттердің қаншалықты берген ұсынылған дәрістерді түсінді деген сияқты. Соның просодикалық ерекшеліктерін қарау, студенттердің семинар барысында көптеген просодикалық ерекшеліктерді назарға алу, сонымен қатар корпус, кіші корпустар жасау, субкорпусы, сондайлар жасау, сонымен қатар сөйлеудің синтез аппараттарын жасаған кезде біз білеміз қазір көптеген қолданыстарда приложение дейді орыстарда жаңағы адамның дауысы бар иә, бірақ олардың интонациялық кей кезде дауыстау дыбыстауда қателіктер жіберіп отырады. Сондай қателіктер болмас үшін мысалға осындай сияқты менікі және басқа да келер алдындағы кейінгі корпустар жасалған болса, соларды қолданса, әсіресе лекторлардың, ол жақсы болады деген сол перспективаға қатысты. Ал типологиялық әртүрлі корпустар қолданыңыз, қаншалықты ол тиімді. Негізінен материал корпус кең әртүрлі болған сайын әртүрлі көрініс береді. Мысалға мокты және де кәдімгі шынайы өмірдегі лекцияларды жазу және оларды қарастыру, олардың арасындағы айырмашылықты, ұқсастықтарды анықтауда бізде өте көп септігін тигізді. Сондықтан да корпустардың әртүрлі осындай деп алуға тырыстық. Үшінші, дәріскерлер ағылшын жаңағы жұмыстың жаңалығы қаншалықты ол дұрыс деген сұрақ болды.
Жоқ. Сіз онша түсінбей. Қазақ тіліндегі академиялық дискурстың просодиясы алғашқы рет кешенді зерттелді дейсіз. Осы қаншалықты ақиқат еді, алғашқы рет деген.
Иә, ол жерде маған дейін негізінен қазақ тіліндегі академиялық дискурсқа барған зерттеушілер көп, бірақ біздің зерттеуіміздің олардан ерекшелігі когеренттілікке біз басым назар аударғандықтан, когеренттілік жағынан дискурстық просодиялық ерекшеліктер алғашқы сәттердің бірі деп айтқым келген, жаңалығымыздың бірі деп. Жалпы академиялық дискурстың просодиясы қазір кең қаралуда, әсіресе президенттің қалауымен ғылыми зерттеушілердің қызығушылығына артуына байланысты ондай тақырыптар.
Who have questions? No? Okay. If there are not questions, the next item is a reading of the reviews by the candidates of domestic scientific supervisor, candidate of philological science, PhD, associate professor,
Dear Chair, and distinguished members of the Dissertation Council, dear colleagues and guests, allow me to present my supervisor's statement on the dissertation of Искакова Г.Н. entitled "The Study of Academic Discourse Admitted in Fulfillment of the Requirements of the PhD degree of the field in foreign philology." The dissertation presented by Г.Н. Искакова investigates a highly relevant, timely topic in the field of modern linguistics, the study prosodic portrait of academic discourse, explores an under-researched essential aspect of quantitative linguistics, the prosodic organization of academic discourse as a specific type of oral communication within higher education. The relevance of the research is determined by the growing interest in discourse analysis and the increasing attention of contemporary linguistics to prosodic phenomena as integral component of meaning making and communication. The dissertation highlights that while the term discourse has been widely discussed in both domestic and international linguistics, its definition remains multifaceted and context-dependent. Within this framework, the author successfully demonstrates the academic discourse as a hybrid form between scientific and pedagogical discourse has not been sufficiently investigated in Kazakhstan. The research presents comprehensive and well-structured analysis of the prosodic features of academic speech, focusing primarily on the lecture genre, the core and more representative form of academic discourse. The author skillfully demonstrates high pitch, pause, intensity, duration, and other prosodic parameters shape the communicative tone, expressiveness, effectiveness of academic speech, contributing to the construction of an appropriate academic institution and professional identity of the lecturer. The methodology of the study is grounded in the principle of experimental approach to analysis, and value experiments of discourse analysis in the third interpretation. In summary, the dissertation prosodic portrait of academic discourse by Gulnaz Искакова is completing a regional scientific study that contributes significantly to the development of discourse phonetics and academic communication. Altogether, the study provides as an objective basis for recommending the dissertation of Gulnaz Искакова, prosodic portrait of academic discourse for defense. So I would like to emphasize that all the questions, comments, suggestions, and recommendations expressed during the discussion are essential and constructive. We will fully accept them and will certainly take them into account in future research on this topic. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your questions, comments, recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ziana. The next I think the reading of the reasons by the candidates of foreign scientific consultant, Dorley Margaret, PhD, Associate Professor, University of Amsterdam, Netherlands. Please.
The microphone is switched off. Margaret.
Yes, thank you. The classical mistake. Well, I'm very happy to be able to express my my laudation for Gulnaz's wonderful dissertation, prosodic portrait of academic discourse. I think it's a very relevant and original contribution to the study of spoken academic communication. It is especially the intersection of prosody and discourse with the literature genre, within the lecture genre, which makes it special. This research is grounded in a solid theoretical foundation and makes a meaningful step towards understanding how prosodic features such as pitch intensity, pause, and duration shape the coherence and communicative effectiveness of academic speech. Искакова convincingly argues that academic discourse represents a hybrid between scientific and pedagogical discourses, functioning primarily within higher education contexts. Her focus on prosody as a crucial marker of coherence and meaning in lectures fills, I think, a very important gap, a very existing gap. I mean, we all know prosody is a very complex issue to study. It's very evasive. It's difficult to pin down, and I think she did a very good job in doing so. And well, the purpose of this dissertation is, in my view, achieved through clearly defined objectives. It is the combination of qualitative discourse analysis with quantitative acoustic measurements, which represents a methodologically robust and innovative approach. The use of Praat software, developed at our university in Amsterdam, for acoustic analysis adds precision and reliability to the findings. The empirical basis of the study is extensive and authentic. The corpus includes so many real-life lectures, and it's a huge corpus as it is for such a detailed analysis. I think the scientific novelty of the dissertation lies in its dual focus. First, the prosodic structure of lectures delivered in the Kazakh language. I think, as far as I can tell, I don't read Kazakh, but it's previously been unexamined in this way. And second, on the analysis of English medium instruction by non-native lecturers. And there some systematic differences are revealed. Kazakh lectures rely heavily on interrogative and repetitive coherence strategies, and the English, the EML lectures emphasize correction and paraphrasing. It's very clear that there's a lot of theoretical significance in this research. It is considerable. Gulnaz successfully integrates discourse analysis, functional phonetics, and social phonetics, and has developed a comprehensive model for how prosody supports coherence in academic speech. I think also the practical value of the dissertation is very strong. And she gives some detailed recommendations for lecture delivery, and these insights can help improve the effectiveness of university teaching. Overall, a prosodic portrait of academic discourse is a very well structured, theoretical, sound, empirically rich piece of research. And I'm very happy to tell you so today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Professor Nordé Mavet. Dear members of the Dissertation Council and the participants of the defense, you now give the floor for the two official reviewers. The floor is given the to PhD, acting associate professor Жалала Акчай, Темирбек Жүрген, Kazakh National Academy of Arts, Алматы, Kazakhstan.
So, dear Chair and members of the Dissertation Council, the dissertation entitled Prosodic Portrait of Academic Discourse is devoted to the prosodic organization of academic discourse based on university lectures in Kazakh and English languages. So the research topic fully aligns with the priority directions in the development of science and higher education in the Republic of Kazakhstan, particularly concerning academic communication, the internationalization of education, and the development of multilingual environment. So the work represents an independent and complete scientific study. The author has created a high level of academic independence at all stages, from defining goals and objectives to conducting instrumental analysis and interpreting the results. The scientific novelty of the dissertation is an original prosodic definition of academic discourse is proposed, taking into account coherence mechanisms. A model of the prosodic portrait of the lecturer has been developed based on a systematic analysis of speech, intensity, pauses, and duration. For the first time, a comparative study of Kazakh and English language university lectures was conducted using instrumental analysis in PRAAT, it is PRAAT. So, effects of native language interference were identified in English language lectures. And the next is the role of prosody as a structure forming component of the academic lecture is substantiated. The obtained results are new, theoretically significant, and empirically validated. The conclusions are supported by qualitative discourse analysis and instrumental phonetics analysis of authentic material. The theoretical significance of the work lies in the development of academic discourse theory and experimental phonetics. The practical value lies in the possibility of applying the results of teaching phonetics, academic speech, training lectures in Kazakh and English medium instruction, and creating annotated corpora of academic speech. Overall, the dissertation is written at a high academic level. So, however, some remarks on the thesis are as follows. The first is the scope of empirical material could be expanded in future research to further substantiate the observed prosodic patterns. And the second one is minor technical inaccuracies were identified. However, they do not affect the overall clarity or understanding. So based on the analysis conducted, I consider that the dissertation constitutes a complete scientific work, meets the requirements for a doctoral dissertation, PhD, and its author deserves the award of Doctor of Philosophy, PhD degree in the specialty 6D021000 foreign philology. Thank you for your attention.
Super. Thank you so much. To respond to the earlier statements, the floor is given to
So thank you very much, Ashana Sutuna, for your valuable comments and recommendations. We agree that expanding of the corpus in terms of additional disciplines and the subjects might be very valuable for our research work, and we'd like to consider these very aspects in our prospective future works. However, we'd like to highlight once more again that the current corpus is no less sufficient for achieving the objectives of the study. So in future, we'll take it into account. As for the second remark related to the technical inaccuracies, as identified minor technical inaccuracies have been carefully reviewed and corrected in the revised version of the dissertation, so they don't affect the theoretical framework, methodological approach, and the validity of the research and conclusions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vilnius. Now the floor is given to the PhD. Максимов Болашақ Академия, Қарағанды, Қазақстан.
Қайырлы күн, құрметті әріптестер. Диссертация ағылшын тілінде болғандықтан, ағылшын тілінде өзімнің теземді оқып My review for dissertation work Искакова Г.Н. on the theme Prosodic Portrait of Academic Discourse, presented for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Number one criteria is the topic of the corresponds to the dissertation direction of the development of science. The dissertation entitled Prosodic Portrait of the Academic Discourse fully corresponds on the priority areas of the science development in Republic of Kazakhstan, namely intellectual potential of the country in the fields of science, social science, humanities, and arts. Number two criteria importance for the science. The dissertation makes a significant contribution to modern linguistics, particularly to discourse studies, functional phonetics, and sociophonetics. Number three, the principle of independence. The dissertation demonstrates a high level of independence. The author independently formulated the research objectives and hypotheses selected and justified to the theoretical framework. Number four, principle of inner unity. Estimation of relevance of this justified. 4.2, the content of the thesis the topic of the thesis reflects the purpose of the thesis corresponds to the topic of the thesis correspondent. 4.4, all sections and provisions of the thesis logically connected, completely interconnected. The new solution. There is critical analysis. The author provides for critical analysis, exciting approach of the academic discourse and prosody. Number five, criteria, scientific knowledge principle. The scientific results completely new. The dissertation finds a new, completely new. The mind finds of the dissertation a completely new. The author identifies and describes original prosodic patterns. Number six, the validity of the mind finds. The mind conclusions of the dissertation valid and well grounded. They are based on a clear, definite research methodology combining quantitative discourse and analysis with qualitative acoustic analysis. Number 7, the main provisions for defense dissertation has 5 provisions, or all provisions proven. It is travel no, it's new yes, application level medium, it is proven in publication. Yes, the provisions, all provisions published scientific articles. Number 8 criteria, the principle of reliability. The choice of methodology is fully justified and described in sufficient detail. 8.2 methods processing data using computer technology. Yes, because dissertation using software. Theoretical conclusions by experimental research. Yes, the theoretical conclusions and identifying patterns supported by empirical evidence derived from experimental acoustic analysis, authentic academic literature data. Scientific level principal value. The thesis of theoretical value, yes, the dissertation has clear theoretical value. 9.2, the thesis of practical importance. The research finds have practical importance for higher education. Number 9, the quality of writing and design. The dissertation is writing clear and coherent academic language and meets the formal recommendations for PhD level research. 11, notes on the thesis. I have 3 notes. While the empirical purpose of academic lectures is sufficient objectives of the study, its future explication enhance all the finds and allow for broad, of course, disciplinary comparison. The number 2nd notes, the acoustic analysis of methodology sound and well interpreted. However, the inclusion more detailed statistical testing and visualization. Third, the principal implication of the research clearly outlined, yet they could future develop into more explicit pedagogical guidelines. 12, scientific level of the doctoral students article on the topic of research. The doctoral students has published a sufficient number of scientific articles directly related to the topic of interpretation and reflecting its main theoretical and empirical results. My decision made to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy to Искакова Г.Н. in the additional program 6D02 100 foreign philology. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rashidovich. To respond to the reviewers' comments, the floor is given to Dr. Andrei Skakova.
So we'd like to express our gratitude for the deep and detailed review for Rashidovich. So actually, they made 3 notes related to the dissertation content. The first one is about the scope of the empirical purpose as it corresponds to the remark by Akshay. So I have already given the answers related to the second one. While the study provides systematic and acoustic measurement and comparative analysis, we'd like to agree that incorporating more detailed statistical testing and additional visualization would further enhance the transparency of the quantitative findings. This could be considered as a methodological extension of future research. So we take it into account in our perspective. The last one related to pedagogical implementation guidelines. The dissertation outlines the practical implication of the findings. However, we agree that this could be further developed into more structured pedagogical guidelines or training models, particularly for English medium instruction. However, the result that of the study we are presenting may serve as a foundation for this further research in methods of teaching, academic speech, and the lecture delivery. So this presents a promising direction for applied and methodological development based on the current findings. Thank you.
Thank you, Venus. Dear members of the Dissertation Council, you now open the floor the general discussion. Please, meeting ikinci, PhD Doktor Professor Ege University İzmir, Türkiye. Buyurun.
Thank you very much, dear Chair. Dear Dissertation Council Chair and members, I would like to read my review about Gülnaz Iskakova's dissertation. The dissertation for the Doctor of Philosophy PhD in the specialities 6D. Do you hear?
Yes, yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so much speaking is coming to my ear, therefore I wanted to be sure whether you hear me or not. Anyway, the specialty 6D02104 in philology by Iskakova Gülnaz Nurdildayevna on the topic prosodic portrait of academic discourse. I would like to emphasize that this dissertation represents a substantial and genuinely original contribution to the study of academic discourse. What I find particularly valuable is Iskakova Gülnaz's ability to combine discourse analysis with rigorous instrumental phonetic methodology. The work does not remain at the level of theoretical generalization. It is supported by a carefully constructed corpus of authentic universal lectures and detailed acoustic analysis of pitch, intensity, and pausing patterns. This enables the author to move beyond descriptive observations and to demonstrate with empirical precision how prosody functions as a mechanism of coherence in the lecture genre. In my view, this integration of functional interpretation and acoustic evidence constitutes the core novelty of the research and clearly reflects the author's independent scientific position. At the same time, I would like to underline the broader significance of this study for the Turkic scientific and linguistic space. The prosodic organization of academic speech in Kazakh has not previously received such systematic and methodologically consistent attention. By developing a prosodic portrait of Kazakh academic discourse and by including English medium instruction context, the dissertation opens new perspectives for comparative and interdisciplinary research with Turkic linguistics. It strengthens the empirical foundation for further work in functional phonetics, discourse studies, and academic communication, and it contributes to the development of high-quality academic language in higher education. Taking into account the scientific novelty, methodological rigor, theoretical relevance, and practical value of the result obtained, I firmly believe that Gülnaz Iskakova fully deserves to be awarded by the degree of Doctor of Philosophy PhD in the specialty 60-02100 Foreign Philology. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, dear professor.
Талқылау айтайын ба? Ертең айтуға бола ма?
Әрине, ертең айту керек негізі.
Профессор Базарбаева, профессор академик Базарбаева Зиня Пусевна.
Назарбай өзіңіз аударасыз.
Құрметті әріптестер, тіл білімінің фонетика саласына біздің отандық ғалымдарымыз өте сирек барады, басқа салалармен салыстырғанда. Сонда қазақстандық фонетистерді саусақпен санауға болады. Олар көбінесе тіл білімі институтының фонетика бөлімінде шоғырланған. Және мына Казгүлде Данель отыр, жақсы специалист. Ол да өзінің шәкірттерін қазір дайындап жатыр. Сондықтан осындай жұмыс пайда болғанда фонетика саласына әрине осындай жұмыстарды қолдау керек. Себебі осындай жұмыстар фонетика саласынан көп болса, фонетика саласына ары қарай дамиды.
Dear colleagues,
Бірақ бұрын, мысалы, өткен ғасырдың 80-ші жылдары картина мүлде басқаша болған. Онда тіл білімі институтында үлкен лаборатория болатын, экспериментальный фонетика лаборатория. Оның меңгерушісі белгілі ғалым, танымал ғалым Жұбаныш Аралбаев болатын, фонолог. Жаңа техника өте көп болатын. Себебі Мәскеумен байланыс өте жақсы болатын. Сонда спектрограф, интонографтар, сонда осциллографтар көп болатын. Және осы лаборатория өте популярды болатын. Мысалы, Мәскеуде осындай лаборатория бар, және бізде екінші орын алатын. Сонда, мысалы, біздің көрші ағайындарымыз Өзбекстаннан, Қырғызстаннан, Сібірден өте жиі келетін. Және олар өз лабораторияда өздерінің жұмыстарын жасайтын, және біздің диссертациялық кеңесте өз жұмыстарын қорғайтын. Мен өзім осы бірнеше Сібірден келген, Қырғызстаннан келген жас кезімде осындай жұмыстарға панель болғанмын. Ал 90-шы жылдары ситуация өзгерді. Экспериментальный фонетикалық жұмыстардың негізінде бірнеше теориялар жасалды. Сингармонизм теориясы, оның авторы Алимхан Жүнісбек, интонация теориясы. Сонда осындай негативтер қалыптасқан болады. Және фонологиямен біз бәріміз фонетистер, осы тіл білімінің фонетистері, тіл білімі институтының фонетистері шұғылданды. Себебі фонология бұл тіл білімінің негізі, базысы. Кішкене айтып кетейін, ол өткен ғасырдың басында пайда болды. Және сол уақытта басқа да ғылым салалар өркендеп дамыды. Мысалы, микробиология, цитология, генетика, ядерная физика. Және осы салалардың кішкентай бірліктерді, функциональды бірліктерді іздейтін болды. Мысалы, микробиологияда атом ядро, цитологияда жасуша, клетка, генетикада хромосом, ал фонологияда фонема. Қазіргі уақытта қай тіл білім саласында бұл ертерек басталғаны белгісіз, бірақ фонология басқа ғылым салаларына өзінің ықпалын тигізді. Және фонологияның теориялары, мысалы, инвариант-вариант теориясы, қарама-қарсы теориясы, корреляция теориясы, компоненттік анализ, ол басқа да тіл білімінің салаларына таралған болады. Және
фонологияда фонем болса, сонда морфологияда сондай бір пайда болды морфема, лексикологияда пайда болды лексема, граммема, тема, ремалар бәрі фонологияда мысалы. Сонда мен келіп айтамын, сен фонологияны мысалы жақсы білсе, ол басқа да салаларда жақсы білетін болады. Ал мысалы қазір тіл білім институтында просодикалық корпус жасалып жатыр. Онда барлық корпустар, барлық дискурстар соған қамтылған, және олардың белгіленімдері көрсетілген. Және қазіргі таңда, мысалы, суперсегмент фонология дейміз ғой, суперсегмент фонология, оның антропоцентристік бағытты зерттеліп жатыр. Мысалы, оның прагматикалық сипаты, оның лингвокультурология сипаты, оның когнитивтік сипаты. Сондықтан қазір осы просодика, фонология, сегменттік фонология және суперсегментті фонология жақсы дамып жатыр. Ал бүгін жақсы өте отырыс жақсы болды. Маған ешкім айтпапты, осы бәрі отырыс ағылшын тілінде болады деп.
Жақсы болды, сіз келіп бүгін бұздыңыз бәрі. Болды енді, бұдан кейін аудармаймыз.
Ешкім айтқан жоқ. Өзі диссертанты маған хабарласқан жоқ. Мана мен осында не болады, келіңіз деп ағылшын тілінде болады. Ешкім мен айтқан жоқ та, тек өзіңіз хабарласып маған айтып отырсыз да, сонда мен бұрыннан білетінмін осындай болады деп. Ағылшын тілінде болады деп, оны мен
Еркіндік бізде сөйлеуіміз.
Сондықтан бүгінгі жұмыс жақсы жұмыс, өз міндеттерін жақсы орындады автор. Бұл жұмыстың теориялық және практикалық мәні зор. Сондықтан оның авторы осы философия доктор дәрежесіне лайық деп есептейміз. Және дәмелді құттықтаймын.
Рахмет Зейнеп апай.
Можно мне?
Аудармай қоямыз. Айбарша ханым. Такого өзіңіз қосасыз ба?
Демек, өзінің тақсырына жалпы отандық тіл білімінің саласына үлкен зор еңбек еткен интонация мектебінің нағыз сол автор. Сонда ойлаймын, Гүлназ Нұрымбаеваның қатысуына үстеліне бағасы біздің қазіргі докторантымызға үлкен бір олына үлкен бір бата ретінде, үлкен бір міндеттер айтып өтті, сұрақтарын берген кезде үлкен бақыт деп ойлаймын осындай бағаны.
What about my opinion? We chair a very distinguished members of the board and deep colleagues. I would like to express my briefly my opinion, and this is the first thing which I would like to underline is the relevance of the topic. As far as before, despite of that fact, there were different dissertations on prosodic elements or aspects of let it be even the academic discourse. But for the first time, I think in our linguistics, we are focusing on English, non-native English, and the Kazakh academic discourse. I think it's a really good idea in order just to conduct this studies, this research. And you know that it goes in line with the current problems of episodic aspect of academic discourse, particularly a lecture. Because my first question was to justify the central role of lecture as in an academic discourse. And it was really quite right. It was a really good choice that a lecture is considered as the focal genre of academic discourse. And in spite of that fact, that the corpora are consisting of different thematic and the content lectures from geography, maybe all masses or linguistics. In spite of that fact, I think for the prosodic features, due to the language they're conducting in, they have really universal features. This is the main, I think, the contribution and the findings. The second thing which I'd like to underline is Gulnaz Nurdudaina could identify 5 structural coherent devices, and including their prosodic and suprasegmental elements of conducting the lectures within the academic discourse. And for example, pitch or intonation, even the hesitation, which occur while delivering the lectures in spite of that fact that they are 2 different languages are compared in the thesis. And then while analyzing those suprasegmental elements, she has employed the instrumental method of analysis. It's really good, I think. The second thing which I would like to underline is that primarily the research makes great contribution to further development of prosodic aspect of discourse analysis, generally, I mean, and particularly or namely the prosodic aspect of academic discourse. And I fully support the referral of PhD degree upon Gulnaz Nurdudaina Искакова. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Aybaşay Islamlı. Dear members of the Dissertation Council, if there are no comments or official opinions, I propose moving to the keynote stage of the process. According to the established procedure, we shall now proceed to the vote on the dissertation. The floor is given to academic secretary to explain the voting procedure.
Dear members of the Dissertation Council and the official reviewers, please allow me to explain the voting procedure. The Dissertation Council shall conduct a separate ballot to adopt one of the following decisions. The first to confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, or Doctor in the profile. The next to return the dissertation for revision, and to send the dissertation for redefense. The next to reject the awarding of the PhD or Doctor in the profile degree. A dissertation may be recommended for revision if the proposed corrections do not alter the essence of the research and relate only to minor textual remarks. If the dissertation does not comply with clauses 4 and 6 of the regulation or partly fails to meet the principles listed in clause 5, it shall be returned for redefense. In cases of violation of academic integrity or failure to meet the principles of scientific novelty, internal consistency, and validity, the dissertation shall be rejected and the degree shall not be awarded. Official reviewers participate in the secret ballot and their votes are counted equally with the votes of the members of Dissertation Council. Please be guided by the provisions of this standard regulation during the voting process. I kindly ask everyone to turn off their microphones until the secret ballot is completed. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamasa Nugadivna. According with the procedure, we must now establish a counting commission to summarize the results. The proposal has been submitted from the Commission with the following members. Islam Aybasha, Doctor of Philological Science, Professor, Chair of the Commission, Bazarbayeva Zeynep Muslimova, Doctor of Philological Science, Professor, Academician, Members of Commission, Dosanova Albina, PhD, Associate Professor, Members of Commission. Do any of the council members have objections to the commission of this commission? Opposition of this commission, sorry. No? No objections. Then the counting commissions and the chair are approved by consensus. Dear members of the dissertation council, you now resume to session of council. The floor is given to the chair of the counting commission, Doctor of Theological Science. No, Professor. No, I am not in it. Sorry.
Прям коснулась.
Прям книгу величь. Dear members of the dissertation council, you now resume the session of the council. The floor is given to the chair of the commission, Doctor of Theological Science, Professor Islam Aybasha, to announce the results of the secret vote.
Dear Chair, dear distinguished members of the board, to be colleagues, let me announce the minutes of the meeting of the elected counting commission of the dissertation council of awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, in programs of linguistics, foreign philology, foreign language to foreign languages, translation studies, ecology at Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. Commission was forward to count the secret votes on the dissertation submitted by Искакова Г.Н.
of the award of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy PhD. The approval composition of the dissertation council consists of 9 members. 9 members of the dissertation council participated in the meeting, including 9 holders of doctoral degrees in the relevant field of the dissertation. Results of the vote and awarding Искакова Г.Н. the degree of Doctor of Philosophy PhD in specialty 60021000 for philology. Award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy PhD for Doctor in Profiling. Should I pronounce that one? Or Doctor in Profile. Doctor of Philosophy PhD 9. Sent the dissertation for revision 0. Recommended dissertation for redefense 0. Refused to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy PhD 0. Chair of the commission and the commission members all signed this document.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. You must formally approve the procedure of the dissertation also. I propose putting into the voter who is against, no one. Who abstains, no one. Who is for, all. All members voted in favor. No notice against. The decision is adopted unanimously. Based on the results of the dissertation difference, the dissertation council unanimously adopts the decision to award Искакова Г.Н. the degree of Doctor of Philosophy PhD in the specialty 602100 foreign philology. Thank you, the members of the volunteer commission, for your work. Dear colleagues, you have the final statement draft and the classification codes of the dissertation. The next item of the procedure is the discussion of the draft and the codes. We are going to discuss on the final statement draft. Does anyone have any comments of the final statement draft? No?
No.
Except in general.
Discussion?
Except in general.
Yes. So, dear members of the council, let's us proceed with the approval of the final statement and the classification codes. Classification features of the dissertation. First, to nature of the dissertation results. 1.1. Second, the level of novelty of the dissertation results.
2.1.
The results are new. The value of the dissertation results.
5.1.
Correspondence of the dissertation topic of the dissertation directions of scientific development and or government program.
4.2.
The topic included is the fundamental research programs, industry programs, university plans with scientific organizations. The level of implementation use of the dissertation results having practical significance.
5.2.
At the industry levels. Okay. Recommendation for the expanded use of the results of the dissertations that have applied significance. Results. Thank you. All there any suggestions? No. If there are no, the purpose you put into void. Who is agents? No one. Who abstains? No one. Who is favor? All. Is there no objections? The draft statement unanimously approved as the basis. Thank you. The floor is given to Искакова Г.Н. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Board, for a few words. First of all, I'd like to thank the whole Commission of Dissertation for the valuable, significant recommendations, high assessments, and the report. Especially gratitude towards my supervisors, Daniel Q.Н. and Margaret Derlijn, for your support throughout this very long path towards this very destination. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, dear Gunas. We reach so. Thanks.
Thank you.
All the best.
Congratulations.
Dear members of the Dissertation Council and the guests, thank you for your work. The meeting of the Dissertation Council of the Defense and the dissertation by Искакова Г.Н. is declared closed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Gülnaz.